presenting at this hour. Sheriff Nunez?
Good evening, and thank you all for coming tonight. Again, for the record, this is Sheriff Al Nunez. I'm the sheriff here in Hernando County. And for those of you who didn't get the earlier release, we were called to the solid waste transfer station in southwestern Hernando County a little bit before noon today. The report was that there was a possible body in one of the dumpsters used to dispose of solid waste by residents. And the initial report said that there's a possibility it might be a mannequin. However, the individuals there were very concerned that they didn't believe that it was actually a mannequin. So we dispatched deputies, and we soon realized that it did have the appearance of human remains. So we started our investigation, and in talking to the very diligent and very observant workers there at the transfer station, they advised that they had actually interacted with the individuals who had dumped the trash that included what we believed to be this body. And they said that the people seemed very confident that it was not a body and that it was a mannequin. And while we were talking with the individuals at the solid waste transfer station, the county workers, they actually informed us that the person who had dumped the body had returned with more trash or garbage to dispose of. So of course we very quickly engaged that person and started talking to him about the body. And he told us the same story, that it was not a body in his opinion, that it was a mannequin. And he began to tell us that he was hired to clean out a house that was vacant on Treehaven Drive. And that apparently the landlords had just gotten back legal possession of the property yesterday, and had hired him and a friend of his to clean the property out to prepare it to be re-rented. And that this was, in his opinion, and he told us the opinion of his co-worker as well as the property owners, that this was a Halloween type prop or mannequin that was left hanging in the garage as a cruel hoax by the former tenants for the landlords. And so we went to that house obviously and secured it and found his co-worker there, and the co-worker told us an identical story, that he was hired along with the other person to clean the house out by the property owners. We subsequently, as we're doing that, we are finding out that it is in fact a human body, and that it had been deceased for several days to, we're believing, probably no more than a month and a half. We've got some information that people had spoken to this individual within the last month and a half or so. And we've kind of pieced together what had apparently happened is that quite some time ago, probably more than a year ago, there were tenants there that moved out. And this individual, as well as his girlfriend and some young children, moved into the house and basically sublet it from the legitimate tenants. And somewhere in the course of that, the rent was not paid, and of course the eviction process was taking place. Well, apparently this individual, who we have identified as Jeremy Whitworth, he's 33 years old, he's a white male, has apparently took his own life by hanging in the garage some time ago. As I said, it was at least a couple days to a month and a half, or several days to a month and a half. And that's pretty much where we stand now. We have notified next of kin, but it was obviously very unusual and very hard to believe, but everything definitely points to this individual taking their own life. So I'll go ahead and answer some questions. I'm sure you all have a few.
When did the guys return? You said that the guys who jumped the trash went at about just before noon. Then when did they return again?
It was within probably an hour or so. I'm not sure exactly when they came back, but the deputies were on the scene, and it was fairly quick. He must have gotten additional trash, and it's important to know that this house was in disarray, to say the least. It was something you'd probably see on an episode of Hoarders, and there were some rodents that were in there that were dead, and so that was the reason for the smell, or at least what they thought the reason for the smell. They didn't associate it with the body.
And Jeremy was there, you said, with a girlfriend or significant other and kids?
Yeah, she had, they apparently had broken up, I guess she's technically an ex-girlfriend. They hadn't seen each other for several weeks, or I think she may have been the one that saw him a month and a half ago. And there's some neighbors that said that they believe they saw a male there sometime after the family moved out. So again, we're not exactly sure 100% when the last time he was seen at the residence, but it's obviously some time ago based on the condition of the body. It was not recently.
And you do believe the story that these guys are telling you? That
Yeah,
they really
at first, obviously, we were very, very suspicious, but based on everything pointing to it, we've found some evidence on the scene that points to a suicide, and even the property owners, I'm being told, got possession of the house yesterday and actually went in, and it was dark, but they actually saw something in the garage, and again, they assumed that it was some prank left by the former tenants as one final poke at them, I guess. So they just did not associate it, and they all four of them convinced themselves that it was some Halloween type prop. Obviously they felt it was very realistic.
Was the body inside of a box, or was it actually still hanging?
It was still hanging. That's what we're being told, is it was still hanging when they took possession of the property. They actually had to cut it down.
When you say took possession of the property, that's from the eviction? Is that what it is?
They took a legal possession, through the eviction process.
Okay.
Apparently yesterday was when they could first re-enter the property legally.
How was the body transported to the transfer station?
Ironically enough, it was transported on the back of a pickup truck apparently on top of the other debris that was taken from the house. And that's another thing that the individual driving the truck was telling us, that, I had it on top of the pickup truck, so obviously I didn't believe it was a real dead body. And if I heard it once, I've probably heard it 30 times today, that we cannot believe that we did not get a call, because we usually, when something unusual like that occurs, we get a overload of telephone calls, but we did not receive one call about a body on the back of a pickup truck going down Spring Hill Drive.
So what's next for these gentlemen that
Well,
had the story?
we're interviewing them, and of course, we're taking all the precautions, collecting all the evidence, and just to be on the safe side. They're in the process of finishing their interviews and having some the normal evidence taken, DNA samples and so forth from them, just to be sure. But I can say, obviously we still have an autopsy to do, and that's dependent. Everything's dependent on what the medical examiner says. But barring anything unforeseen from the medical examiner, we're relatively sure that the story is exactly what they told us, because everybody we've talked to has said the exact same thing, and that's unusual to say the least. So,
Can you release the names of the two men today?
I have that. I can go ahead and give it to you. We'll probably put it in a media release. But the two individuals that were cleaning out the house, the first one is Israel Lopez, and his date of birth is September 28th of 1963, and he resides in Zephyr Hills. Again, it's Israel Lopez, common spelling. And then Adam Hines, Hines, and he also lives in Zephyr Hills, and he was born January 23rd of 1978. And those are the two individuals that were hired to clean out the house by the property owners.
Was there a suicide note left?
Yes. It wasn't on a piece of paper. It was actually written on a wall that there is a suicide note.
Can you say what was it? What did it say?
I don't have that. I've heard a couple words from it, but I haven't gotten the particulars of it.
Is there surveillance at the transfer site? Were they
I don't believe there is. We are looking. Obviously, this is 7 or 8 hours old, and I don't even. I think we're keeping the scene and the pickup truck The pickup truck that was used, we're keeping that overnight pending the medical examiner's autopsy. And we're going to be talking to all the businesses probably between Treehaven and the transfer site to see if there is any video footage. But again, all the evidence points to exactly what we were being told originally.
There was no odor or anything with this body that was noticed?
What's that now?
There was no odor or anything?
Yeah, there was definitely an odor, but again, they believed that it was the other items in the house, to include rodents and so forth, that were dead in the house. And I think it's important to realize that even some of you in the media, you may have a little bit more experience with this than the average individual. And most people, they either have seen somebody who's very recently passed, maybe a loved one who they're at their bedside when they pass, or they see them at a funeral home and they've been embalmed and so forth. And obviously, this body was wasn't even close to either of those. It was somewhat mummified, I guess.
What's the procedure for taking debris or whatever to the transfer station? Do they have to pass through a gate, or is there some sort of inspection?
You would have to ask them. I think they probably have to interact with somebody at the gate. And as I said, the people there were interacting with them and asking them questions. They were very, I've got to give a lot of credit to them, because they were very vigilant and obviously brought it to our attention. Had it not been for them acting quickly, there's no way we would have had this case to the point we are in 7 or 8 hours. If we would have had a body that was found a day or two later, we wouldn't have known what address it came from, but because they acted quickly, we were able to get the individuals who removed the body and questioned them quickly. We were able to narrow it down in short order. Okay. Any questions?
The victim's name again, it was Jeremy?
Jeremy Whitworth, Whitworth rather, W-I-T-F-O-R-T-H. W-I-T-F-O-R.
What's his-
I'm sorry. Is that W-I-T-F-O-T-H is what it's showing? Is that what you have?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at it quickly. It's let me give you the correct spelling. W-I-T-F-O-T-H. There is no R in it. There is no R in it. My mistake.
And what's his date of birth?
And his date of birth was June 10th of 1981, so 6/10 of 81, and he's, I'm told, 33, should come out too.
Since there's no apparent malice or ill intent on this, there's no charges for improper disposal of a body?
We haven't totally ruled that out, but as it stands right now, I think that would probably be a fair assessment, because they obviously, we have 4 people that were all involved, and none of them believed it was a body. And it's ironic, but all the evidence leads to that they didn't believe they were doing anything wrong. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
St. Pete, still
Thank you for
waiting.
coming. Does anybody have any other questions for me?